Let's practice finding factors and multiples. Kendra has a math test every 12 school days and a vocabulary test every 9 school days. She had both a math test and a vocabulary test today. The next time she will have both tests on the same day will be in blank school days. So we have two different types of tests. We have a math test and we have a vocabulary test. The math test is every 12 school days. So M equals 12. And vocabulary is every 9 school days. And I want to figure out when it is that those two tests are going to match up for a schedule. So to do so, I could draw a number line if I wanted to, but I could also look at the fact that I'm finding for multiples on something. I'm finding for groupings of 12s and groupings of 9s. So I'm going to simply look at writing down my multiples of 12s, my multiples of 9s. So math is here, vocabulary is here. Math is going to be on day 12, day 24, day 36, day 48, day 60, day 72. I could keep going and going and going and going, but I'm pretty sure I've already found one that I know just because I know my 12s and my 9s that is going to match up. So now I'm going to also write down my multiples of 9. 9, 18, 27, 36. I have to stop right there because I just reached a day that they will both have in common. So on day 36, this poor unfortunate soul, Kendra, she's going to have a math test and a vocabulary test. So hopefully she's practicing figuring out for both tests on day 36. Goodies Gumballs has a bag with 21 pink gumballs, 14 blue gumballs, and 35 white gumballs. What is the greatest common factor Goodies can use to divide the gumballs into equal groups? So it looks like I'm going to be finding the greatest common factor. Tells me in the problem I'm going to be, but if I didn't know that, I would want to write down the information that I do know. So I have 21 pink. I'm going to use color because that helps me. 21 pink. I also have 14 blue gumballs. Then I have 35 white. Well, I'm not going to write in white because you wouldn't be able to see it, so I'm just going to use black. But those represent white. I want to figure out how I can divide these gumballs into equal groups and have the same number of groups represented. Not necessarily the same number of gumballs in each group, but the same number of groups. So I want to split them. If I'm splitting them like this, I'm finding the factors that they have in common. So I'm looking at 21, 14, and 35. So I'm simply going to write out the factors of each of them. And I'm going to do so in factor pairs. 21 would be 1 and 21. 2 is not a factor of 21. 3 and 7. And that would be it. 14, again, I have 1 and 14. 2 is a factor, 2 and 7. And there are no other factors of 14. 35, I have 1 and 35. 2 is not a factor. 3 is not a factor. 4 is not a factor. 5 is a factor. 5 and 7. And that would be it. So now I want to find the greatest common factor that these three numbers have in common. Well, they each have 1, but that's not the greatest. 21 is here, but nowhere else. 14 is here, but nowhere else. 35 is here, but nowhere else. So now I have 3, 2, 5, and 7. And look at this. All of those 7s match up. That means my greatest common factor that I have is 7. So I can split the white gumballs into 7 groups, 14 gumballs into 7 groups, and 21 gumballs into 7 groups. Again, it doesn't mean that I have the same number of gumballs in each group. It just means that I have the same number of groupings of gumballs.